Welcome to the Inside Scoop. You're tuned in with TaQuon Marshall and Brandon Carter, and today we have two special guests, two of my former teammates, Brad Stewart and Jalen Johnson. How you guys doing today?
Doing great, man.
Doing good. Glad to have us.
So, I've been seeing a big trend lately of college athletes around every sport. They haven't really had a solid backup plan, like if they didn't make it to the league. Like, for instance, all three of you guys. TaQuon, you did an internship here at Dickey's Broadcasting. Brad, you're currently working full-time. Jalen, you're currently working full-time. So it's hard to see, in my eyes as a fan and as a non-athlete, on how it would be difficult to use those resources and network with the platform that you have at the institution or at the college that you're at. So can one of you guys just please walk me through just some of the things that y'all did throughout y'all's college careers? Because all y'all played 4 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so using those 4 years to y'all's best ability, whether it was on the field or in the classroom or out in the business world, what's some of those steps y'all took or some of the influences that y'all had to take those steps in order to put yourself in the position that y'all are in today?
Well, I know I can start off because when I came to Georgia Tech, first off, I didn't know what I wanted to do as my degree. So I knew I'd always loved math and science. So when I chose it, I chose mechanical engineering because it was the most broad of the engineering programs at Georgia Tech, because I wanted to have the most opportunity when I graduated to be able to do what I want to do. So I thought in school that I was going to find something and be like, oh yeah, that's what I love to do. I'm going to make that quick connection and then go do the interviews and stuff and start my career. Well, that wasn't the truth at all. That's not how it worked out. I'll tell you, it really hit me my junior year, going into junior year. I had done an internship that summer with Southern Company, and I just started to realize okay, what's my path right now? I've been doing good in school. I've loved playing on the field with my boys, but what's my path? I haven't really established this career yet. So that's when I really had to take a step back and be like, who do I need to talk to understand this? Because when we came in as freshmen, they always told us oh, that degree from Georgia Tech is going to get you this, that degree. And I'm like, okay, so we're going to play football to the best of our ability, get that degree, and we're going to be good. Well, you can't do that's not all you can do.
It's not reality.
It's that reality. It's that at the end of the day, you have to put forth much more effort to get to where you want to go.
And I think just touching on that, that's one of the things, when you said people talk about the degree, you'll be fine. And I just think that's something from the outside looking in, people don't really realize, how much extra work you have to put in yourself to be able to have that job when you graduate. Because like you said, you're on the field for 4 years just having the time of your life. And then next thing you know, time flies by. And like you said, you're in your junior year, you have an internship, and you're still trying to figure out exactly what you're going to do, knowing that you only have one more year before you graduate, and then you're at that point in life where, I think everyone reaches that point where you're just kind of stuck and you don't really know which direction you want to go in.
But how much of an influence do y'all feel that family members and parents have? Because we all know the main storyline, I guess you could say, that we hear, nowadays, that, most of the people that make it to the top level come from absolutely nothing. So with that, their focuses might not be within a plan B, so to say. It's all focused, because they've been told all their life, that you have these abilities, these God-given opportunities, you need to use them and take advantage of them. So when that's instilled in their minds, from peewee football all the way up to, when they're playing at these 4-year college institutions, they kind of lose sight of, if I get hurt, all this is down the drain. If I flunk out of school, all this is down the drain. There's so many nuances that can go into being a student athlete where that all that can just be taken away from you like that. Because, like, I know from me, both of my parents really push, getting all you can out of school, but getting even more from networking and connections. It's not about what you know. It's about ultimately who you know, how you form those relationships with people, being personable to people, being able to talk to anyone, and getting your name out there and making sure that they're aware that you're interested in whether it's them or the company that they're a part of or stuff like that. Like, you've been, what company are you with now?
It's called CPS.
And you've been interning with them since you were in school, or that was
No,
another company?
so that was a different company. So basically, to kind of explain what I did. So I got an internship in business. So that was my undergrad, and then after I graduated, I had another year to play. So I ultimately got my master's in building construction. So I knew I needed some experience if that's what I wanted to do. I know my brother had experience in construction, so I knew I needed some experience. And man, it was a stressful time, trying to apply for jobs, not hearing back. Oh, you don't have experience in construction. I'm like, man, I'm trying to get an internship.
Right.
Like, I'm trying to get that
Right.
experience, And it was stressful. So then, luckily, somebody hit me back. I worked for Cortland Partners, which was they build apartment complexes, and ultimately to lead to my full-time job. My supervisor that I worked with at Cortland, he left and went to CPS, and he brought me because he knew that, I was a student athlete. I worked hard. I reached out to them. I was looking for something, and I took initiative, and he liked that a lot. So that's what ultimately got my job at CPS. And like you said, that's networking. That's who you know.
Exactly.
That's exactly what you're
Right.
Who you know. That's the key
it.
right there.
But how much? Because when I was at Tech, we got asked this question in one of my classes. Like, is it really all about who you know more than, what I'm saying, your education-wise or, like, your smarts? Like, is that really the case?
So I would say the point blank, the situation is here. You have to have that degree, point blank. That is what you need right there. But in order to take that next step, that next leap, you have to have the connections.
Okay.
Like, just that degree is very meaningful, and I understand that, but the connections is what's going to get you that job. The connections is what's going to get you that experience. And that's my prerogative on it.
I mean, yeah, that's very true. It's definitely about who you know as opposed to what you know, I would say. And there are a select few degrees that, will automatically get you in the door. Like, if you're studying neuroscience, I'm pretty sure you're not like the average guy. And so, but like, being that, there's a lot of broad majors that translate to, these big corporations, these big companies, like business. Business is everything. Like, we're handling business, right now. That's not, you can teach, finance and accounting and all that kind of stuff, but, handling business, being able to conduct meetings, being able to manage a team, all that kind of stuff, that's learned. And so I think student athletes should be held to a slightly different standard than the regular college student, being that y'all have so much on y'all's plate already with workouts starting in the morning. I remember your schedule was, waking up at 5 a.m., going to workouts, having to be at breakfast check so they can check if you eating your pancakes and Eggo waffles and stuff, going from there, going to class all throughout the day, then going to practice after that, having to go to tutoring after that, lab, completing all your homework, getting any studying in, as well as, possibly studying the playbook. And so with that, I feel like if you are interested in, finding that plan B, whether it's, with a company outside of Georgia Tech or something, showing that interest should kind of be that foot in the door, being that you're already handling so much stuff. I'm also incorporating you into my schedule and trying to prioritize you at the same time. And so I don't feel like a lot of companies look at it that way. They just kind of view y'all on the same status as, someone like me that has the time and the summers to go out here and get these internships and put all my effort into it, as opposed to y'all having to juggle it around y'all's football schedule. It's not like, They can say, okay, well, meet me down here at this time. Well, I have practice at this time, and so I think it's just difficult. It's a little more difficult for you guys in that aspect.
I mean, I think so too, but I think there's a select few that look into that part of, how busy your schedule is and how well you manage everything. I think there are a lot of companies that actually look at that and are looking to hire people like that because they know, okay, if it's a high stress situation, well, a student athlete's been through a lot of high stress situations, so they know how well they'll be able to manage things like that. So I think some things like that are taken into account, and companies look into things and like, okay, well, I think I would like to hire this person rather than someone who hasn't really been through any situation like that. But, you can maybe teach them how to get through that situation rather than someone who has been through the situation and exactly knows how to progress and get through other situations. So I think there's both sides of it. There's people that, don't really look at it that way, and then there's people that really look into it as, okay, well, they manage a lot of things, so let's, see what they can do in the business world.
Right. And so with that being said, like, there's qualities that student athletes have that can translate over to a business realm. Like the way that y'all have to handle y'all schedules, handle situations in the game. I feel like it's just cut and dry where they can just simply apply to football or a sport. They can, these are things that you're going through that's making you the man that you are. As it might, sound a little silly from a fan base viewpoint, but these things that you have to do as a student athlete can very well translate into how you handle things in the business world. There's a lot of knowledge, a lot of studying that goes into behind the scenes off the field, all the times that you have to watch film, sit down with your coach, look over the playbook. Y'all ran, probably one of the hardest offenses in the country. The triple option is not, something easy to run. You have to make those different reads in a very small amount of time. There's a lot of different things that you have to look at as you're walking up, to the line of scrimmage. Who's going to be blitzing me from this side? You got to check this guy. How this guy is lined up. Is he going to block this hole and all that kind of stuff? So I just feel like those things don't just apply to football. They can very well translate to other things.
And that's one thing I like about sports in general. Like whether you're playing at the smallest level or at the highest level, like from Pee Wee on to college, let's say that, to make that range and scale. One thing about sports for me is that it just builds something different about you as a person. Just it makes you grow in a totally different manner than someone who isn't in the sports realm. Like, I don't know about for you guys, but for me, like it just builds a whole lot more camaraderie. It builds you as like leaders are really made and born, but I think if you're born a leader, like being on a sports team, that brings more of a leader out of you because you're put in different situations where you have to step up and be that leader. But I think that's the best thing about sports. Like it builds you into a different person than, a lot of people probably expect you to be.
So with that said, being that all of you guys have played to your full extent your 4 years of college football, if present you could tell something to freshman you, or not even freshman you, to recruiting you, what would be some things that y'all would kind of warn yourself about? Or
I can start that off because I would 100% tell freshman year Brad Stewart that it starts now. Not only football starts now, not only school starts now, life starts now. Mm-hmm. This is when you build your brand. And I feel like I did a poor job of that early on in my career. And I've paid the repercussions because I've made that process harder. Like I said, my junior and senior year made it so much harder on myself rather than freshman year understanding. Even in high school, before I got there, I should have understood that it starts now. This is my brand. This is my life. Where do I want to see it go?
I would say the same thing. It doesn't last forever. And I knew that coming in. In high school, my senior year, I missed my whole senior year because I tore my ACL. And so I knew then, I was like, man, I need a backup plan because, I'm already going through things. And then I get to college, I come in with a knee injury. I had 2 shoulder surgeries while I was at Tech, so I'm like, man, I definitely need a backup plan.
Yeah.
So, and that kind of, that really, struck me because, like, my mom fell in love with Tech, knowing, because they always drive, this degree, $1 in 6 billion or a millionaire, all that. And, that was good and all, but I knew that, that was a good place for me because I know I'm battling with injuries. I know that it doesn't last forever. Like you said earlier, some guys, they instill in their head like, you're gonna make it. You're talented. You got God-given talent. So it's good to have a backup plan, like you said. And I would just tell myself, definitely, take advantage of all the opportunities that you have.
And just to piggyback off of both of those, I just think one of the main things is that going into it, like, it sounds good now because, like, we've been through it, but like, when you're first getting into college or getting away from home, you don't have your parents to tell you what to do, and you know what I'm saying, you don't have anybody on your back all the time telling you, and especially being in the city of Atlanta. I mean, there's so much to do Monday through Sunday. There, you can find anything to do with anyone. And I think the main thing is that we lose sight of what's really important. Like, of course, you know what I'm saying, we think it's important, but at the same time, it's kind of on the back burner. Like, we're like, let's have fun, like, enjoy hanging out with your boys, meeting new people. Like, things like that are the top priorities on your list because you're like, man, I'm only 18. Let me just have some fun with it. And then before you know it, you're 21, you're 3 years in, and you're like,
goes quick.
Wow, like, I've wasted, I wouldn't necessarily say wasted, but I could have been doing more productive things while at the same time still having fun.
Yep.
And you don't realize it, like you said, Brad, like, you didn't realize it until your junior year, and I'm kind of the same way. Like, I didn't realize it until junior year. I'm like, well, dang, I only have 1 more year. I really need to figure out what I'm going to do. Of course, I want to play football, but if football doesn't work out, then where do I see myself? Like, where can I see my life going in the next 5 years? And everybody has all these plans and all these things that they, could see their life going in a certain way.
Open-ended.
Yeah, but then you get there and life hits, and you're like, wow, I really, like, 4 years ago, I thought I knew what I wanted to do. But now I'm like, I really don't know what I want to do. I don't know which direction I want to go in. So that's why I think it's, it's very important, like both of y'all touched on, that, you start early and you start often. I think a lot of people shy away from that because they're, getting away from the house and want to have so much fun, which, we're not knocking fun because I think we all had a good time enjoying the college experience. And they say, that's the best time of your life, and I definitely agree. Like, if I could go back, I definitely would. But on top of enjoying the college life, you just really have to understand that, at the end of the day, when college is over and, you're not seeing all the people you saw every day, that, real life hits and you really need to figure out, or not exactly figure it out, but know which direction you want to go in. So it makes things a lot easier on you when you graduate and walk across that stage.
And it, just to end it, it's easier said than done. Clearly.
Easily.
Easily.
I mean, like I said, I mean, looking at it now, like, obviously I've gone through it all, so I know exactly, which direction I would have gone in 4 years ago if I could go back. But yeah, it's definitely always easier said than done.
Oh yeah, like, gracefully, I had the parents to instill that in me to make sure that I was aware that I need to do A, B, and C to ensure that I can get on some path once I graduate. Not everybody has that influence when they come to school. They just, school, some are just, they're the first generation to go to school. So they don't have that wisdom being passed down to them to be able to understand that this is just temporary. This doesn't last forever. I have to get older, I have to mature, I have to grow. And so those are just some of the things that I kind of see hurting, regular guys and girls as well as athletes. Once they do get to that step where they're walking across that stage and, that uniform is being stripped away, so to say, they're kind of lost. But one thing I didn't hear anybody say was not playing the triple option offense. All y'all like the triple option offense?
I mean, I think it has its benefits for sure for certain people. Like for me, myself, I mean, I touch the ball every play.
Yeah.
So it was a lot easier. But I will say my
been
body.
a couple of hospital visits.
My body did suffer week in and week out. But, I mean, I think a lot of people don't really see the way it seems so simple on TV and so easy. But really, if you dive deep into it and you try to grasp everything that's going on so fast, like, it's kind of difficult. Like, I mean, for me, just having to read someone who's 2 feet away from me and 0.2 seconds decide if I'm going to hand the ball off or pull it, I mean, that's one of the toughest things I've literally done in my life.
But with that, seeing the direction that Tech is going in now, and granted, it's a completely new system, somewhat. It looks like an option just ran in the shotgun.
In the shot, yeah.
So all the players that were previously there last year, majority of them are returning. And so watching them, I got to watch it with a box of Kleenex right beside me. They scored 2 points against Temple, lost to Citadel, and they done got called out by Georgia State, right? Didn't Georgia State call them out on Twitter?
No, that was the Citadel calling them out.
Oh, the Citadel called them.
Yeah,
That's sad.
That was tough to see.
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone knows it's a transition period, but every Tech fan knows that, you know, being a Tech fan is hard. And I heard that same thing when I was playing at Tech. They said, man, being a Tech fan is hard because you never know what you're going to get. And I think right now we're in that phase where we really don't know what we're going to get. Like you said, last week we scored 2 points. The week before that, we lost to the Citadel, who was a triple option team. So, you know, we would have thought that coming from a triple option, we would have been able to, you know, handle that a little bit better than we did. But, I mean, I think we're just in that transition period. But since we're talking about college football and Georgia Tech, since college football is changing overall, the California state governor just signed the bill for the Fair to Play Act, and that's going to be able to allow student athletes in California, right now in California, 2023, to be able to profit off of their likeness. Like, where do you guys think this is going to go for college football?
So before we start the discussion, so is the NCAA behind it? Like, where is – because I know this is the local government in California, right, that has passed this bill. So how does this work with the transition with the NCAA is my question, because I saw the bill passed and all this, but, like, you say 2023, so does that mean NCAA is backing it, or, like, how does that work? What's the connection?
So being that it is a state bill, it's something totally different from the NCAA. So the NCAA will still receive, you know, the same profits they've been receiving. You know, if they sell your jerseys, they're getting that profit. Okay. If they put you on a billboard, anything like that, all the advertising, all the marketing, all the profits are still going to the NCAA. But let's use you guys for an example. Y'all have every year at the beginning of the summer, people come out.
Fan Day.
Yeah. And so if y'all wanted to sign some, I don't know what y'all, magazines, what do y'all sign?
Posters, magazines.
Pictures,
I mean, really anything.
They'll bring anything, yeah.
Yeah. So y'all could potentially make money from that. And y'all can have, y'all own the rights to having an agent. And so he would be able to make deals with, you know, different companies, Adidas, Nike, for you to get endorsements and all that kind of stuff. So, like, I know TaQuon was invited to a couple of things, you know, during his NCAA career, but he was only able to go because that was NCAA rule. He wasn't able to get paid from that. But if Georgia would have passed a bill, then our high school could say, hey, TaQuon, we'll give you $500. Let's say if he was still at school.
Yeah.
Hey, TaQuon, we want to give you, $500 to come to the homecoming and, speak or whatever like that. he would be
Okay.
able to do that
Okay.
with that bill being passed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think there's some different regulations that are going to have to happen. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously 2023, it's not too far, but it's far enough away for them to be able to,
Plan it
you
out.
know,
all that kind of stuff.
plan some things out and be able to, you know, put some stipulations on certain things. I think that's obviously the main thing they're going to have to do is put some stipulations down. I don't know where exactly the NCAA is going to come into play and exactly how they're going to be able to regulate
Oh, they'll
everything.
find some loopholes.
But
They'll find some.
I definitely think they're going to come in and, you know, make some things shake up. Because I also saw that Florida's looking into passing it in 2020, which will be next season. So that would definitely change a lot of things very quickly.
Yeah, these states are gonna have to jump on board quick because that's gonna kind of shift.
Yeah.
That's gonna shift recruiting heavily because all these top guys were like, well, why would we go to Bama
Exactly.
and Georgia to try to build our resume to make it to the step to make, you know, X amount of profit or money when we can just start at 17, 18 years old and college.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, because in my opinion, that's the business itself is very tricky. Like the way agents maneuver, the way recruiting is, all of it is very tricky. It seems on the outside like they have your best interests. You know, they come to your house. Nick Saban comes and to your practices on the helicopter and all that kind. It looks everything looks nice.
Yeah.
Oh wow, he must really care. He flew the helicopter to me. Well, you know, I'm guarantee he's doing that for every other recruit that he's interested in. And so the way they persuade guys and how some of them end up, it's just the scale isn't very even in my opinion. Like the agents, they cradle you and cuddle you and act like they have, you know, your ultimate best interest, but you know the more money that you're bringing in, the more percentage that they're bringing in.
And the happier they are. So
Right. And so, like, it's tricky. And you definitely, I wouldn't say do what, you know, Kawhi did, as in, you know, use his uncle as an agent. But it's just tricky in choosing who is going to dictate kind of where you land in your next step. But they're going to definitely have to find some type of regulations on it. Whether it's, you know, you have to play if you're going to, you know, be getting endorsements and profits outside of the NCAA. You're going to have to, you can't just sit out or anything like that and still be getting paid because that's going to defeat the entire purpose of it. You know,
So do you think they would allow, like, for example, you know, TaQuon, he was starting quarterback at Georgia Tech, you know, pretty much everyone, if you're a Tech fan, you know him. Even if you're not a Tech fan, you know him. So is it going to be flatlined in a sense of compensation, or like for TaQuon, for example, his likeness is much more valuable
than
than
an offensive lineman,
exactly,
and stuff like that.
So that would be my question to y'all. What would y'all's thoughts?
See that's another thing. Like, you know, with that scenario, in the triple option offense, the quarterback is the focal piece. So of course he's gonna be that guy, getting every touch, every single play, making every single play. And so he's going to have, you know, more likeness than, you know, the offensive guard that's blocking for him. You know, although that's basically, you know, his right-hand man.
Exactly.
Because, you know, without him, then
Just
this won't work.
Exactly.
You know? And so there's going to be there has to be some ways that they somewhat regulate it. I know that's going to raise some flags, you know, from athletes level, saying that, well, you know, how come I have to put a cap on how much money that I'm receiving because I'm liked, you know? But I think that's why they set it out to 2023 to kind of have some time to
work those things out.
to just dive in and see, you know, how this can ultimately play out. And I don't know, it's going to change the game.
It's gonna be kind of funky in 4 years when all this is going down and we actually see how it's going to play out. I'm really excited / kind of nervous to see how it's going to play out because I know things can change really quickly within college football. Like right now it's already a business. I mean, now that the transfer portal is there, I mean, it's almost like free agency for college football. Like people are choosing to sit out if they haven't redshirted. Like, you know what? Well, I want to have another year to help build my resume for the next level. So, you know what? After 4 games, I'm just going to sit out, let y'all do y'all's thing. I'll be back next season. So, it's kind of funky how everything's working out. So, I'm really – well, it's going to be really interesting, to say the least.
For sure.
But, I mean, when did that start? Has it always been like that?
No, the transfer portal has not been like that. I think that just started just a couple years ago maybe.
I think so.
And how does that work?
So
I'm really not for sure. I just know that, I mean, you can just transfer. I mean, and then you go through a process, don't you?
Yeah, so now the rule is when we started, for example, if you just went in on one snap, that's a season. You can't redshirt.
For sure.
So I think the system how it is now, like you were saying, the 4 games, you can play up to 4 games and still be able to quote unquote redshirt, which means that you're eligible to transfer regardless of you played those 4 games, but it doesn't matter. You can transfer wherever you want after that.
Yeah.
Now, if you play more than those 4 games, it comes to the sides of why are you transferring. And we've seen stories, such as the Justin Fields who went to Ohio State, and then Tate Martell leaving Ohio State, coming to Miami, and being able to play right away. And then you have a guy like who was the offensive lineman from Coastal Carolina trying to go to Virginia Tech and for his family, and he wasn't able to play.
Yeah, so
that's
it's really fishy, like how everything's working out, because I'm not really understanding what people are saying to the NCAA for them to be eligible to play right away. Because I know we had a couple guys transferring to Tech, and I'm sure they had obvious reasons why they wanted to come closer back to home or to be with family for family or family reasons or whatever it is, but they're not able to play right away. So I don't really know what people are saying to the NCAA or if there are some loopholes you can go through. Obviously, Justin Fields had a reason
he did.
For what he did, but for
then,
other people,
like
it's
Tate Martell.
Yeah,
he lost a spot and
I
want transfer.
Yeah, it's kind of hard.
That's crazy.
So I mean, basically, right now the transfer portal, to me, it just seems like it's a huge free agency thing. Like people are
for sure.
like, okay, I want to play a couple games, see how it is, see how I like the program, but if I don't really like it, then let me go somewhere else that offered me while I was getting recruited. So
I don't know. It's gonna be crazy.
That's tricky. It says here, entering the NCAA transfer portal is a necessary first step for any athlete who wishes to transfer to another institution. Once an athlete decides to transfer and is added to the database, any coach can contact the athlete. So it's literally like free agency.
Yeah, it's
literally. I mean, I've had people hit me up that have wanted to come to Tech, and they're like, hey, bro, can you let your coaches know I'm entering the transfer portal and I'm trying to come down there? And I'm like, well, me personally, I don't really know exactly how it works, so I don't know how much I will be able to help you get down here. But, you know what I'm saying, I can try to do what I can, but I'm not exactly sure how I can really help you since you're entering the transfer portal. Like, everyone's going to have free game for you, so.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, though, just the fact that, you say you're transferring, your name goes out there, and one, you could not be hit up at all. No one could talk to you, right?
Yeah,
and
that's
then like you said, you're reaching out to the schools that were previously recruiting you and stuff.
Yep.
But clearly, if you're a big name, family name guy, first day you enter, I bet your phone is
your list
blowing
is gonna
up.
blow up. So
in that case, having, like you said, maybe your uncle or someone in your best interest. Right now, you're not allowed to have an agent in NCAA, but having someone maybe to help you support. Because imagine getting, in one day, you have to make the decision like this week in order to go to school for that spring semester to be able to participate in spring ball. So it's like, I have to make this decision now, but it's going to be hard to make it by yourself. I mean, if you have your family members and stuff to support you, but that's a tough decision.
Yeah, that'll change the game for sure. It'll easily change the game.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely see how all these things end up unfolding in the future.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate y'all guys for coming out, Brad and Jalen. We wish y'all the best of luck in y'all's future careers.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it,
It
guys.
was good having you guys on. especially catching up with you guys. And it's always a while. Once you get away from the game, you know, we don't really see each other that much. But
Old heads now.
Oh,
It's
heads.
old head.
I
Y'all finna
really
start
appreciate.
tailgating for
Yeah,
Tech football game.
I really appreciate you guys. You know, taking the time out of your busy schedules to come on, especially with the Tech game going on today. I know, you know, we all plan on going to that, so I
Yeah.
really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank y'all for having us on. I know anytime I could, you know, give advice to whoever or any type of, you know, situation where I can help people out. That's what I'm about, and that's what I feel like we should all be about. So.